Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video, I'd like to take a closer look at the word cure, who can say it, and who can't say it, how it can be used and how it cannot be used. Well, an industry was given a monopoly back in the late 1930s, the allopathic medical industry, and they were given this monopoly on treating symptoms. And the word cure belongs to their nomenclature. In reality, there are no cures in the way they use the word, and yet they're the only ones who can use it. Only their drugs can provide cures, and at the same time, food cannot cure. Well, maybe based on your definition of the word, but guess what? The wrong food's going to cause the problems, and the right food's going to solve the problems. So, why all the confusion? Why is there a Food and Drug Administration? Why are these two together? So that one agency could say only the drugs can cure, and the food is not allowed to say that. Well, again, the word cure is a misnomer when it comes down to it, because it implies that we can keep violating the law of nature and not expect to have the consequences or see the effects. And yet that's how allopathic medicine works. The vast majority of their drugs interfere with the body's communication system, so the symptom magically doesn't appear. The body uses a lock and key communication system. Hormones and enzymes are the keys, the receptor sites are the locks, and you have inhibitors that kill the keys and blockers that block the locks. So it's a magic act. It's an illusion, the way the system works now, and they have the audacity to call that a cure. We cured your arthritis, so you don't have this anymore, but then you always get this. And I'm really concerned about this topic because things haven't changed in a long time. And they never are until we can wake up and get enough of us to realize this and do something about it. And it reminds me, and I'm saying this because of a speech Dr. Russell Trawl gave 160 years ago to the Smithsonian Institute. To about 5,000 people attended, and a lot of politicians, and the speech was geared toward these politicians because he was a soldier in a doctor in the war. And he says, we're losing more men because of the diseases which come when we start treating the symptoms. And he goes through and he goes case after case. He says, we see what happens. We know what's happening. A person comes down with A, and we give them a drug and they get B, and we give them a drug and they get C. It happens every time. So it doesn't end with this. It started with this. So a lot of our diseases, like smallpox, for example, when it gets to the third stage, that stage only happens if you're given the drugs. It's hemorrhagic, and now I just read an article about a couple of weeks ago about hemorrhagic fever, how bad it is, and yet it's all caused because of the drugs are given for the other things. And the thing is, nothing's going to change until we wake up as a species. We have to realize that there are no cures. We got to wake up to this allopathic medical madness, nightmare, where it's perfect Orwellian doublespeak. War is peace. Poisons are health. My God. There are no chemical solutions for lifestyle-related problems. The vast majority of what doctors are doing that they claim to have cures for are lifestyle-related, and there's only one way to solve that problem, and that's to change your lifestyle. Make better choices. Stop eating the wrong food, get some exercise, some sunshine, good sleep. Surround yourself with fresh air and good people. These are the secrets to health. There are no cures. And food in itself really doesn't cure, but if the wrong food caused the problem and you eat the right food in its place, it's going to be a cure. Now, a big problem that we face as a species, a lot of it has to do with where our brains are stuck. We're brainwashed to believe that these are our experts, and then our brains are stuck in our taste buds. So it's real hard to entertain the truth. People don't want to hear that they can't eat this and they can't eat that, or that we should eat a diet that seems to be restrictive. When life is such an illusion, my God, it's not restrictive at all once you really understand how it works and how it will eventually work once we get everyone doing it. If we were living the right way, there wouldn't be any homeless people. Everyone would have free power. We've had this technology for a long time. No one would have to work the way we think of it. Even after the fall of mankind, before we had money, in Africa they had a system called Ubuntu, where these people only had to work 3 hours a week to provide all their needs. And they would produce 3 times as much as they would need for their community, and they'd give all their excess to all the other people. And every community would do several different things that were their specialty. And they weren't even living in paradise like the way we could. There's no reason why I just couldn't start walking off this way and find everything I need to eat on my way, every step I go. Why isn't there food everywhere? My God, we live on such an abundant planet. Have you ever not watched TV and looked at all the empty space, open space everywhere? I'm in a big state, Texas. In fact, the whole population of the world could live in Texas. But when I go from Houston to Austin, I'm looking at a whole lot of empty space. No reason why we couldn't have food the whole way there. In a river and communities, we should be living in paradise on this planet. This planet should not be set up the way it is. Nothing that we're doing now is right, but we've become accustomed to it. Our taste buds have been molested. We can't get our brains out of our taste buds. And the problem with satisfying our needs is that anything that satisfies our needs can be potentially pleasurable. Think about freezing to death, this close to hypothermia, and someone says, hey, do you want a blanket? They go, God, you bad, give me that blanket. But it's soaked in fecal matter, not a problem, give it to me. Well, not maybe a bad idea. It's warm fecal matter. Is that okay? Oh, give it to me. Imagine wrapping that warm fecal matter on you when you're freezing. Doesn't that feel good? And then you end up getting smallpox. Oh, we gave the Indians the smallpox. Now we gave fecal soaked blankets because they were freezing. They knew they would take it, and don't you know that felt good? Here's another odd analogy for you. Imagine you're drowning, and you got 2 options. Well, I can either suck water, or we can transport you to this room over here, magically. But it's filled with smog. A or B, which is it? B. And you go to B and you go, oh, I'm alive. And then, right? But what if that happened to you every day? A or B, A or B, I told you B. Next thing you know, smog. Ooh, it feels so good. Don't take my smog away. Life is an illusion, man. We're sucking in smog, we're wrapping our bodies with fecal-soaked blankets, and we're loving it and saying, don't take away my blankets, don't take away my smog. My brains are in charge, my taste buds are in charge. There's a battle between our senses. One of our senses has hijacked all the rest, and it's keeping us from finding the one we lost, which is what compounds this whole thing. The reason why we can't pull ourselves out of this hole we've dug is because we lost one of our senses. That's the fall of mankind. That's what cooking our food did. It destroyed the biophotons. That's the sunlight energy that we store in our nucleus of our cells, and our cells use to communicate and sense, yippee, I'm one with everything. Don't you see? So that's why we struggle. We got to get reconnected. So how do we get out of this mess? How do we break these addictions? You got to do something that will help you control things that are controlling you. You got to break this addiction. Your taste buds have been molested. They're getting excited about sucking in smog. And you don't know what you're missing. Oh, I don't like the way fruit tastes. Well, stop eating for 3 months and then go eat some berries and watch your taste buds go, wow, I had no idea. You've molested your taste buds, the vast majority of us have, and we can't really appreciate what was given to us and what's our natural diet. So the only way I can ever imagine waking up this planet is not telling people to stop, eat a raw vegan diet. Not enough people are going to do that. Water fasting, that's used to be the best preparation for a better way of life, but that's not safe to do with all the chemicals right now. Plus people are going to want to do it, they fear it. The only logical solution to wake us up from this nightmare is to get enough of us to do what Bill Bright had 14 million people doing in 1 year, and that's a solid food vacation. Go down to my description box below and you'll see, take the first step, and that's the first of my 3 steps. If you've watched any of my videos, I talk about this in every video because I'm convinced this is the only solution. Why do I keep harping on this? Because when you look at everything, you got to go back to the first cause. First cause. First cause. Don't eat animals. It's not the first cause. If you don't cook your food, you're not going to eat animals. Don't eat grains. Yes, got to cook them. Okay, first cause. Go back to the first cause. Everything else is a distraction. Vegetarians and vegans, you're being distracted if you don't get reconnected. And I know you don't see that because your taste buds are still, your brains are still stuck in your taste buds too. That's what fire does. It puts us under a spell. That's why they say God sends the food and the devil sends the cooks. If we're being tricked and fooled, it's by the unwise use of fire. If there's a problem we face as a species, it is the unwise use of fire. Everything we master has the potential for evil, being against life, if we apply it to things we need in life, like our needs. And that's what happened to us. It altered the need. It altered us. And we're designed with a feedback system, and I'm looking for something. Here you go. So that we would know what's going on. Now, this pine cone I just picked up, what's the difference between me and this pine cone? This pine cone can't get cancer, can't get a headache. Why not? It doesn't have any needs that it has to satisfy. It doesn't need an environment to sustain us because I'm a living system. I need things to sustain me. And because it doesn't need anything, it can't make any mistakes. But since we need things, we can make mistakes. And that's all we got to do to put an end to this nightmare and all this needless suffering. We got to realize that everything we do affects us, and then those effects accumulate, and then they're reflected in the condition of all 4 of our current status factors. And it's what we got that ultimately keeps us where we are, because our taste buds have been molested. We've lost one of our senses. We got a cesspool inside of us. That changed our mentality. Now the worst of us is controlling everything, keeping us where we are, keeping this knowledge hidden from us. So to wake up from this, you can't just get reconnected. You got to keep going with the message. You got to continue on the hero's journey. You got to find like minds. You got to understand the obstacles and realize the best way to deal with every one of them is to keep pushing, getting reconnected. But you're going to find a lot of bad advice out there. I hear it all the time from people who have no experience in things. Very frustrating to have to listen to someone talk about a place they've never been. Anyway, I'll save that one for another video. For now, we have to realize that there is a battle between our brains. There's a battle between our senses. It's the neocortex against our reptilian brain. It's this brilliant brain that can master things and become too clever for its own good. And then this reptilian brain that can get addicted to anything that's pleasurable. And then we got our taste buds that are addicted to smog, or we like those fecal-soaked blankets. You know, we like it because it satisfies a need. But anytime you satisfy your need, it's going to be pleasurable. And this is what people fear. They go, I love this and I love this. Well, stop eating that. Go on a long juice fast. Give your body, give your taste buds a break so that they'll come back to life. And then you'll relish the foods you're supposed to eat. And when you eat them when you're hungry, and when you eat them after you exercise, you're going to love them. In fact, people struggle with eating a raw vegan diet many times because they can't eat enough. Well, get active. Get out there and have some fun. And a lot of people can't do that because they got too much garbage around them. So where do you start? The first of my 3-step process. It's 10 times faster than a raw vegan diet. I can't imagine trying to do the raw vegan diet when it takes the average person 5 years to be successful at it. Do a 2, 3, 4 month juice fast, juice feast, solid food vacation. See results 10 times faster. You deal with cannibalism and animalism better because you're consuming so much food. You don't have that wasting away condition. You'll lose a lot of weight, but you won't lose anything that you don't need. And you can actually put on weight at the same time. I put an inch on my chest in 1 month by changing my routine, but I did it while I was drinking nothing but juice. So you can build muscle on this program. But the concept is simple. You don't go building a new house until you clean all the rubbish away from that might have, if your house burned down, for example. If you're in really bad shape, you don't want to waste any energy. But it's important that exercise does become part of your routine to be healthy. Food's not a panacea. You got to look at all of our needs. And most importantly, you have to realize that we've damaged things, ourselves and society and the environment, so we don't just have one group of needs anymore. And now our ideal diet can't satisfy all of our needs, but it doesn't negate the fact that it's still our ideal diet. We just have to modify it because conditions have changed and we have changed. So there's that other group of needs. So my other videos I go over and over, there's two groups of needs we must satisfy. And that's all we have to do. And if we did that, we could turn this planet around. But we've got quite a few obstacles. A big one's our taste buds. Another one is all the references we have. So the best way to deal with all those references, the best way to reset your taste buds, your feedback system, to unmolest them, is to do a solid food vacation. Once again, the description box down below will tell you how to do a long, extended, properly conducted, solid food vacation based upon your own individual situations and conditions. So you take it one day at a time. Don't think of the idea that it might take several months to overwhelm you, because if you're lucky, this will take you 2 years. Because for most people, it's really a positive experience most of the time. But when we do things like this, it's a lot like climbing that big mountain of good health. Every now and then there's a valley. If there are, pay attention to them. They do tend to be cyclical. But don't be discouraged. There's a lot to this. There's a phenomenon known as retracing that happens when you do this. The body, if you have a chronic condition, to heal, the body goes back to an acute condition. So you have to get educated to really know what to do to be healthy. You got to find out why you're sick. You got to learn how to live, knowledge of how to live. You got to understand the right kind of food we're supposed to eat, and understand that you might be damaged and you might not be able to get everything you need from the ideal diet alone. If you live up north, for example, you're probably not going to be getting as much vitamin D as you need. B12 is an issue for everyone. If you don't watch your omega-3, omega-6 ratios, you can have DHA problems. But if your liver is compromised, you might not be making a host of level 2 nutrients, including something as important as cholesterol, which is the precursor to all the other hormones. So the good news about this is about 90% of us don't really have to worry about the details if something goes wrong, because when you just correct the main mistakes we're making, that's pretty much all we have to do. For the other small percentage of people, if you don't see the results that you are hearing everyone else has, it's more than likely because you have specific damage that needs to be addressed. It could be something as simple as your thyroid's not producing thyroxine. But I'm not a doctor. I don't prescribe and diagnose, but I know why the symptom occurs, and I know how to reverse it. And I do understand there's a time and a place to do certain things that we know can deal with what we got, because we can't change it overnight. So it's time to get excited. It's time to do something that, as of now, very few of us have done. But when you go where few have gone, you will be able to see what few have seen. You'll be able to rise above the ideas of the time and understand what I say when I close every video. When you do this, you're in for a treat.